Our next topic is generics. So what do you mean by generic in C#? Generic was introduced in C# 2.0 and in .NET 2.0. It allows us to define a type-safe classes without compromising type safety or performance. So what do you mean by type-safe classes? This can be asked in an interview. In the previous slide, we have discussed that an array list can contain a value or element of any type. We can add a string, we can add integer, we can add float in a same array list, and a compiler will not give any error. But that might cause a runtime issue whenever you are trying to access those values. On the other hand, in generics, it gives you a type safe option. You are only allowed to add a value of a same type in a same collection. You cannot add a value of float in a collection which consists of a string value. And on top of that, everything is done in generics, and all the addition and all the other operations that happens on generic are in very good performance. I mean, retrieval and addition of these values from a generic classes gives you a good amount of performance, and they can be retrieved easily. In generics, a generic parameter type is supplied between the open and bracket. So this will check in the upcoming slide, but as of now you can say that whenever you want to define a generic, you have to pass the generic name and then the opening and closing bracket, and inside this opening and closing bracket there would be a data type. So whatsoever, like suppose if you want to create a generic for integer type, so you have to pass list, which is a type of generic we'll discuss right now, and then open bracket and then int bracket. C# programming language, there are following type of generics. The first one is list. We just discuss it right now, and again you can see that T stands for data type, and that type is defined between the opening and closing angular bracket. So if I say integer, so it would be written as list of integer. Similarly, with list, we have hash set, we have dictionary, we have sorted list, we have stack, and queue. You can see the syntax of everything is similar apart from dictionary and sorted list because that contain a key value pair. So we'll discuss about the key value pair as well, but as of now, from an interview perspective, you can say that generics are of following type, and they include a list, a hash set, a dictionary, sorted list, a stack, and queue. Now let's check the advantage of generics in the next slide. So in an interview, it can be asked like, what are the advantages of generic? So generic provides a code reusability. It also enforces a type safety. So we have already discussed that part, that all the collections in generic are type safe. So retrieving the data from generic does not require any typecasting, which make a code clean and easier to write and maintain. It provides better performance since they do not require a tool typecasting. So again, this can be an interview question. An interviewer can be asked like why generics are good in performance or why they provide a better performance. You can simply say that they provide better performance because they are type safe and they do not require any kind of typecasting whenever we want to retrieve or add any element from a generic collection. It decreases the number of runtime error due to typecasting or boxing and unboxing because types used in generic operation are evaluated at compile time. So already we have discussed that part, but again I would like to explain that bit. Suppose you have created an array list and you are going and you are inserting a multiple values inside it. Let's say you have inserted in string and integer in the same array list. Whenever you go to retrieve it and you are expecting that array list consists of integer value only, and you want to perform an operation of two integer values, let's say you want to perform the addition of all the elements that exist in array list. In the case of array list, that will cause an issue at runtime because at compile time, the compiler will allow you to do the same thing. It will not restrict you to adding integer and a string in the same array list. While as in generics, since it is a type safe, so if you try to add a value of different type in a same collection, it will throw an error at compile only. So that's why you can say that in generics, we can reduce the number of runtime errors. Now the next is, what are the various collections in C#? So we already discussed that in C# we have list, dictionary, sorted list, stack, and queue. Now let's discuss this collection by one. So what is the list? A list represents a strongly typed list of objects that can be accessed by index. It provides a method to search, sort, and manipulate list. So you can say that a list contains a list of integer, a list of a string. They contains a strongly typed list of objects. So a list of a string will always have the string value, and all of these values can be accessed with the help of index. We have already studied the concept that in collection the index starts from 0. So if you want to retrieve an element that is available on the fourth index in a list, you have to pass the list name, and then you have to pass the index as 3. So in that way, you can say that an element from a list can be retrieved. It also provides a method of searching and sorting and manipulating the list inside it. Like we can add the item in the list, we can remove the item from the list. All those things can be done in object. The second is dictionary. So dictionary is quite different from list. While the list contain only a single object, whereas a dictionary consists of a key value pair, where keys are unique. So in simple terms, you can say that in dictionary, you cannot add a duplicate keys value. Suppose if you want to add a duplicate key value in a dictionary, or by mistake you add it, then there would be an error. Dictionary also supports add and remove method for adding and removing object from collection. The next is sorted list. Again, it takes a key value pair to store the value, but the only difference is that in sorted list, it would be inserted into a sorted format based on the value of key. The fourth collection is stack. We have already discussed that a stack is based on LIFO, and what exactly LIFO is that whatsoever is inserted in the last of a collection would be the first one to return from or came out from the collection. So a stack of this T, that is again a stack of type safety collections. They support LIFO structure, and again likewise the previous slides they have push and pop method. Similarly in Q as well, they have NQ and DQ method, and they are FIFO collection, that is first in and first out. So see, we have already discussed these collections in past example as well. The difference between those collection and this collection is that they are generic collection, while as a stack or queue can insert any value inside it, whereas a list or a stack of generic or a queue of generic can only have a single data type. In an interview, it can be asked a question as well, like what is the difference between array list and list? You can simply say that an array list is not a type safe, can have any values, while as the list is a type safe. Now let's come to our next topic, that is difference between generic and non-generic collections. So a generic collection can store an element of a same data type. This is something which we have discussed in the previous slides as well. You cannot store a string into a generic collection of integer, whereas that is possible in non-generic collection, and an array list can consist a value of both string and integer into a same object or a same instance. Since generic collection are type safe, that's why there is no need of typecasting or boxing and unboxing while retrieving a value from collection. And since this non-generic is not a type safe, so that's why a boxing and unboxing is required while retrieving element from it. A generic collection provides a code reusability, whereas a non-generic doesn't provide it. Due to type safety feature in generic collection, the incompatible objects cannot be stored inside it, whereas in non-generic collection, a value can be stored inside it, and this can give you a runtime error. So the runtime error because of types is not possible in generic collection, but that can happen in a non-generic collection. And on top of that, a generic collection are fast as compared to collections, whereas the collections are slow as compared to generic. So even if they are performing type safety and a boxing and unboxing is not required, so that's why the retrieval or insertion of element in generic collection are fast as compared to the non-generic version of it. So this can be asked in an interview in a different format, like explain the difference between generic and non-generic, or what do you understand by generic and non-generic collection. So you have to give a content from this table as an answer in your interview.